Retro Road Trip.
Hello, sir. Welcome to Universal Studios Hollywood. Bride of Frankenstein. Dr. Frankenstein, I trust, sir. It's very nice.
Hello everyone, welcome on board the Universal Studios tour. My name is Marcellus, and if loving me is wrong, you don't want to be right. I'll be your studio guide today, taking you behind the scenes of the biggest and busiest movie studio in the world, Universal Studios Hollywood. Every day we have dozens of movies, television shows, commercials, and music videos filming on our lot. We never know what we're going to encounter throughout the tour, so for your own safety, please remain seated while the tram is in motion. Keep your arms, legs, and heads inside of the tram at all times. There is no smoking on the tram, and if you have an emergency or if you drop anything over the side, just give a tug on the emergency cord that's located above you at the center of the tram. If you have any litter, place it on the tram floor, and we'll pick it up for you later. We'll be underway in just a few moments. Here we go. Once again, my name is Marcellus, our driver's name is Mark, and together we're Wild Stallion. Welcome on board the Universal Studio Tour. Here's what you're in store for today. We're going to leave the theme park behind and take you into the actual working studio where some of Hollywood's biggest names come to work every day, including me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking you to the Universal movie timeline, which traces our history from 1914 to the present. On either side of the tram, you may notice these original movie posters. These are just a few examples of the over 8,000 movies that Universal has produced. And over the years, we've taken audiences from the Wild West to ancient Rome, from the streets of New York to the jungles of Africa, and from the depths of the ocean to the surface of the moon. And most of the time, we never even left our property. How is this possible? Well, Hollywood is made up of tricks and illusions. Nothing is as it seems in Hollywood. I'll be showing you quite a few examples of that throughout the tour. This is an actual working studio, and at 450 acres, it takes an entire city to support it. We have our own mayor, post office, police department, hospital, and fire department. And speaking of which, take a look on your right. It's our fire department. That's Fire Station 51. There's some firefighters now. Take pictures. How you doing? Yes, Reba. That's Fire Station 51, named after the fictitious fire station from the television series Emergency. I noticed the ladies perked up when I mentioned the fire station. Ladies, what's with you and firefighters? I put out fires. I don't get that kind of attention. Do you, Mark? Mark says no. I digress. We're going to leave the world of reality behind and take you into the world of cinematic make-believe. We're heading down to our front lot, which houses 35 sound stages for interior filming. Inside of these buildings, we can create any type of environment that the story demands. Here's a great example coming up on your left at stage number 12, one of the largest sound stages in the world. We built some of Hollywood's biggest movie sets in there, including the Visitor Center from Jurassic Park, the Riddler's Lair from Warner Brothers' production of Batman Forever, and Whoville for Ron Howard's upcoming production, The Grinch. These stages were also used for popular films such as Out of Sight with George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez, The Nutty Professor, Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps, with Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy, and Janet Jackson. Off to your right is the oldest stage on the front lot. It's stage number 28, and it's where a lot of the Universal's monster movies got started. This is where we invented the monster movie genre. I'm dropping my head this morning. Back in 1925, Stage 28 was built to house the enormous Paris Opera House set for Phantom of the Opera, starring Lon Chaney, the man of 1,000 faces, in his most famous role. You know, we still have that set intact inside of Stage 28 over 70 years later. Normally we do tear the sets down when we're finished filming with them, but they won't tear that set down in there. They say the stage is haunted. In addition to the over 80 years of motion picture production, Universal is also the biggest music company in the world, with such artists as Shania Twain, U2, and Limp Bizkit. Well, in addition to that, we also famous for creating and producing classic television shows. A lot of them were filmed inside of these stages off to your right. Television shows work on a very fast schedule. Take about a week to complete, but motion pictures can take several months to complete. Speaking of motion pictures, off to your right, stage number 44, currently being used for 20th Century Fox's production of Big Mama's House, starring Martin Lawrence and Neil Long. Now, movies can be kind of a complicated process, and ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave the front lot where we do all of our interior filming and take you to our glorious back lot where we do all of our large-scale exterior filming. The buildings that you'll see on our back lot may look real, but they're not. They're what we call facades, which is just the false fronts and sides of buildings. We only build what the camera needs to see. And what looks to be brick and concrete is actually wood, chicken wire, foam rubber, and fiberglass. Here's a glimpse of some of those facades coming up on your left. You see the one of the ends of our metropolitan areas. A lot of legendary directors have used the metropolitan area for their films, such as Alfred Hitchcock. He used it for Topaz with John Forsythe, and Torn Curtain with Paul Newman and Julie Andrews. Too much fruit. Also, a legendary director such as Alan Smithy has used that part of our back lot. As a matter of fact, he's directed quite a few films for Universal. We have a lot of construction going on, so we got diverted to this part of our back lot. We don't visit this part of the back lot much anymore, but since we're here, let's take a photograph of this historic set. Mike, just take us behind the bridge. Road's blocked, but Mark's going to back up, right, Mark? Right, this is back up, Mark. As Mark backs up, you can get a great bird's eye view of our back lot without... Well, Mark, you're scaring people, man. That's not funny. Yeah, you can see my house from here. Oh, what a week I'm having. First they turned me down for Lincoln the Monster on the fourth car is still back here. Made you look excited. Yeah, I know I tricked you, but Hollywood is made up of tricks and illusions, and, well, I'll be tricking you all day. As we come around the corner, you can get a great photograph of the bridge rebuilding itself. Watch this, Captain to the Bridge. Works every time. We've used this bridge in several of our television shows, including The $6 Million Man, The Bionic Woman. Ladies and gentlemen, take a good look at the metropolitan area off to your right. We call that New York Street. It has been dressed that way quite a bit, but it's also been seen as quite a few other large locations. That section that you're looking at on your right was dressed as London of the swinging 60s for New Line Cinema's production of Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, starring Mike Myers and Heather Graham. It was also dressed as Victorian London for Columbia Pictures' Bram Stoker's Dracula, starring Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder, using the black and white flashback sequences. It was featured as New York City for Sony Pictures' production of Stuart Little, starring Academy Award winner Gina Davis. Coming up on your right, you'll see a sort of an alley type of area. It was blown up. It was is actually the location where a car was blown up in Paramount's production of Payback. So, oops, these trucks are parked here off to your right. And we are the biggest and busiest movie studio in the world. We have 415 acres of lot, 35 different sound stages, and over 500 different facades here in the back lot. And what makes us the busiest studio is the fact that all other production companies come here to film their big scenes because we're the only studio that still has our back lot. All the major studios had big back lots at one time, but after a while, a lot of production companies started filming outside of Hollywood, and it got kind of expensive to hold on to all of that real estate, so they sold off their real estate one by one. We held on to our back lot because we've been giving tours for over 35 years now, and have something for the guests to see. So all the history back here, and I'll try and show you the highlights of the tour. Now, it's the job of the production designer to dress these sets differently so you don't recognize them from one production to the next. I'm sure you won't have any problem recognizing the area we're pulling into now. The Courthouse Square, off to your left, is the famous clock tower and courthouse featured in the Back to the Future movies, starring Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. Now, Michael J. Fox had to play a very versatile role in these motion pictures, portraying Marty McFly as a teenager, as an adult, Marty Jr., the son, Marlene, the daughter, and a distant relative from the 1800s. Our courthouse area had to play an equally versatile role, being dressed as different time periods. We're seen as 1955, 1985, and the year 2015. By the way, that Texaco gas station was located in this vacant area off to your right. Our courthouse area has been dressed for many, many different productions dating all the way back to Inherent New England, Spencer Tracy. He walked up those courthouse steps in that film, and he used that to take pictures. Sonny Gregory Peck won a Best Actor Academy Award for his performance in To Kill a Mockingbird. You know, if you say that title really fast, it sounds like a drink, right, Mark? Right. The section we're in now is dressed as New York City for Universal's production of End of Days starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Gabriel Byrne. It's used for the scenes where the cars explode and the restaurant explodes that Gabriel Byrne walks out of. That happened to me last week, Cajun food. This is also dressed as Minneapolis, Minnesota for Jingle All the Way. 20th Century Fox starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad. Take a look on your left, this big tan facade was the building that Sinbad climbed up to the top of, dressed as Dementor, to try and steal that Turbo Man action figure during the Christmas parade. Now, most of the movie was filmed on location in Minneapolis in the middle of winter, but the Christmas parade was filmed here on our back lot in the middle of summer. They used white sand, white foam, rubber, and cotton for snow. And you know what? It was about 100 degrees when they filmed back here, but they still had to bundle up to make it appear as though they were really cold. You know, Mark and I would come back here while they were filming dressed in t-shirts and shorts with big glasses of iced tea in our hands. That was a lot of fun, right, Mark? Right. Hey, you ever been to Central Park? Neither have we, but take a look on your right. There it is. Central Park. At least what the camera needs to see of it. They built what the camera needs to see. And this is the newest part of our back lot, the Central Park set here on the corner on your right. It's been here for about a year now. The first person to use it is Burt Reynolds, directing and starring the new film entitled The Last Producer. We started one of my favorite Universal films from the 70s entitled Smokey and the Bandit. Well, when we passed by, I was really tempted to yell out one of the lines from Smokey and the Bandit as Burt Reynolds was filming his new movie back here. You know the one where Jackie Gleason says, "I'm on a barbecue, yo." Well, you know the line. I couldn't say it because they were filming it. They wanted to ruin the scene, right, Mark? Right. By the way, the lake on your right, well, that was the entire Pacific Ocean for the television series McHale's Navy, starring Ernest Borgnine, Tim Conway, and Joe Flynn. It's true. By the way, those are real birds and ducks that you see off to your right. We paid them a small sum to pose while you take pictures. All right, ducks, back to work. Quack, quack, quack. There you go, see? He flew across on cue. They're ready to take you through the Red Sea. Parting of the Red Sea and Oldie But a Goodie here at Universal Studios Hollywood. You can get a great sea level picture with your cameras from here. By the way, Paramount's production of The Ten Commandments was not filmed anywhere on the lot. However, this section was used for 20th Century Fox's production of Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 1. It could be the king. But coming up on your left is a big 10 building. In Winters, that's our property department. Proper property is anything that isn't nailed down to the set. It can be as small as a paperclip or as large as the totem poles that you see coming up on your left. Our property department is the largest in the industry, and when I say the industry, I do mean the business. And we house about 1 million items in that building. Here's an example of some of those items right behind the chain link fence on your left. As you can see, we have everything to dress an entire city street. Traffic signals, lampposts, toilets, torpedoes. We're heading into an area that we call Spartacus Square. We call it that because, well, you'll see. Director Stanley Kubrick used a combination of Special Visual Effects Academy Award-winning art directors and thousands of costumed extras to transform this part of our backlot into ancient Rome, or Spartacus. The movie starred Kirk Douglas, Lord Laurence Olivier, and thousands of rowdy college students from USC. And who can forget Tony Curtis as the Towboy? I love you, Spartacus. Everybody in the first car, wave with everybody in the fourth car. How you doing? You guys in the third car, just follow us. That big set of steps off to your left, that was the back of Carol Channing's mansion in the musical movie Thoroughly Modern Millie with Carol Channing, Mary Tyler Moore, and Julie Andrews. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is literally around the corner for us at Universal Studios Hollywood. If you take you around the corner, take a look on your left, this area is what we call Little Europe. It's not a very big place, but we can make it look like any part of Europe we want by changing the language on the signs. This area was built in the 1920s for a motion picture entitled All Quiet on the Western Front. It won Universal its first Best Picture Academy Award, and since then this area has been seen as a lot of different locations, including Paris, France, for a smelling entertainment production entitled Beverly Hills 90210. Pamplona, Spain, for Castle Rock Entertainment City Slickers for the running of the bull sequence. It's also dressed as the Magical Kingdom, featured in Walt Disney Television's production of Roger and the Hammersteins' Cinderella, starring Brandy, and it's featured in the Walt Disney TV movie Geppetto, starring Drew Carey and Julie Louis-Dreyfus. It's also seen as England for New Line Cinema's production of Magnolia, starring Tom Cruise and William H. Macy. You can't mention Universal or the Little Europe area without mentioning classic horror movies. After all, Universal didn't invent the genre with such classics as Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man. Look, there he is now. Made you look. Psych, he's invisible. You can't see him. The area off to your right is what we call the Court of Miracles. This is where a lot of Hollywood's monsters got their start. By the way, all those movies were filmed in black and white, and this is the only known color footage in existence of Boris Karloff wearing the Frankenstein's monster makeup. Did you know that Boris Karloff wasn't the first choice for Frankenstein's monster? It was actually Bela Lugosi, the guy who made the part of Dracula famous on Broadway, as well as the silver screen. Well, Bela Lugosi turned the part down, and it just so happens that Boris Karloff was working on a film at Universal at the time when he was approached. He accepted the role because he thought it would be more of a challenge to emote a character underneath all of that makeup. You know, it took 6 hours to put on all of that makeup, and once the makeup was put on, he left it on all day, even to eat lunch. Now back then, all the actors and crew members ate at one central location on the studio lot called the commissary. It's a big cafeteria. Well, he walked in there with his makeup on, and people just freaked out, so the studio executives asked him if he wouldn't mind wearing something over the makeup, which turned out to be a bag with 2 eye holes and a mouth hole so that he could eat. Guess he was the first unknown comedian. Well, anyway, even though hundreds of other, well, maybe not hundreds, but several other actors have portrayed Frankenstein's monster since then, and Boris Karloff's performance is the most memorable. It's true. I have a little delay ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like everybody decided to take the tour at the same time. We're going to take you inside of one of our sound stages and show you the various ways that our production designers can direct or design a set. We can make the inside look like the outside, the outside look like the inside, or we can make the sound stages look as though we're in a completely different part of the world. We're going to go in. Okay, we're going to take you inside of this sound stage. This particular stage is used quite a bit for action scenes. Paramount used it for Beverly Hills Cop 3 starring Eddie Murphy, and it's a unique soundstage because it's the only split-level soundstage like it in Hollywood. Up above us, we've recreated an urban street scene with trucks and cars. Down below where we are, we've recreated a subway station. We called it a hot set because it is dressed and ready for filming. If you saw this in the movie, you'd think this was the real thing. All we need now is for a train to come through. Hey, you know what? I'm going to announce the arrivals and departures, just like in the New York subway. Buffalo. Syracuse. Pretty good, huh? Yeah, I know. I've been practicing. Note the detail that our Academy Award-winning art directors and what the... That's just a trimmer. We get these all the time in Southern California. It's nothing to worry about. Well, okay, there's that. Ladies and gentlemen, keep your arms like this on the train and hang on. Rock me, baby. Rock me like I don't have no bones in my back. Oh, wait. Hey, what's that noise? Oh, look at the left. It's coming right at us. That's wild, man. That's wild. Girl. This is not an earthquake, the big one. We're simulate an 8.3 earthquake on the Richter scale. Ladies and gentlemen, Jaws, because the inhabited island was terrorized by a great white shark in the movie Jaws. The movie was so successful that they decided to retire the movie star as Shark named Bruce to his own lake on the back lot, and there he is now on your right.
Yeah, Gary.
And that's George Sharky. George, get out of the boat. It's headed right for you. Smoke big nose, take teeth. Then leaves the right. How about fools? There they are. Sorry that you don't see everything, but I do. Never gets old, though, especially this next part. Hey, shark, swallow your whole. Take it. Open their eyes up. Keep your eye on that yellow float. Awfully quiet. Yeah, too quiet. Say hello to Bruce the Shark. Jaws, Bruce the Shark. Terrorized these booty toys in the movie Jaws. Oh, you know what? That shark's a lot more reliable now than he was when they were making the movie. The way the name Bruce the Shark. Oh, Steven Spielberg came up with that name. That was the name of his lawyer, H. True. Ladies and gentlemen, we just headed into an area that we call Old Mexico. We call it that because it's old and it looks like Mexico. We do name every part of our back lot, so that whenever a production company is looking for a specific type of area to film in, we know exactly where to take them. Now, when people visit California, they say there aren't any weather changes. Every day is same old boring sunshine. Like today, look, more sunshine. Well, whenever we have a weather change in the script, we just go to our special effects department. This is a great place for testing out weather effects. Let's see if we can set up a demonstration for you. Hey, special effects. Is there anybody back here who can show us what you're doing today?
Sure, folks. Hey, buddy, can you give us some thunder and lightning?
Oh, look on the left, thunder, lightning. That's mine, by the way. Hey, Sesame Street. I'll be Bert, you be Ernie.
Okay, let's add in a little rain.
Okay. Look at that instant rain, just add water. I like the rain. It washes the memories off the sidewalks of life. And I like the blues because when the rain river's at it still sounds the same. Right, Mark? Right. But I digress. All right, Bob, I think our guests get the idea now. You can shut this off. Come on, Bob, you scare people, man. Turn it off. Come on, turn it off.
Freddie, is that too much rain? I don't know if the system can handle it.
See how the chain of command works around here? It goes from me to Bob to Freddie. And Freddie, you're so fired. Let's get out of here, Mark. What, the construction guys are blocking our path? Oh, no. Look at all that water coming down the hill. Let's hit it right for the second and third floor. My eyes, the goggles, You witnessed a prime example of movie-making magic in action. We dump thousands of gallons of recycled water from tanks at the top of the hill. The water crashes down the hill, careens under the bridge, and goes right back into the drinking fountains for your drinking pleasure in the park. I was just messing with you. It goes right back into the tanks at the top of the hill. We use the same type of effect with the river, starring Mel Gibson and Sissy Spacek. The sprinklers in the trees are pointed upward so that when the water shoots out, it looks like naturally falling rain for the camera. The flash flood area was dressed as Bible Land for Fletch Lives, starring Chevy Chase. And we're renovating our old Mexico area to the left here, but that was also featured in Orion Pictures' production of Three Amigos, starring Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Chevy Chase. Universal is noted for musical movies, such as Showboat, Thoroughly Modern Millie, Sweet Charity, and The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, starring Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds. Take a look on your right. That's Miss Boda's Chicken Ranch. Yes, my friends. Now, this isn't a facade like we showed you earlier. This is what we call a practical set, which means we can film on the inside as well as the outside. We have this entire set inside the stage 12 for all the musical numbers. As we round the corner, look on your left and you'll see a White House with blue trim. It's the original home for Matlock from the television series Matlock, starring Andy Griffith. Right next to it is a tan home that was featured in a thriller entitled The House of the Seven Gables, starring George Saunders and Vincent Price. And speaking of thrillers, this road that we're on was used by this young woman on a dark and stormy night. She was in trouble. She stole $40,000 from her boss and had a run-in with the local authorities on her way out of town. Where's the money, lady? Well, it was getting late and she was getting tired, and she had something in her eyes. Well, fortunately, she saw a light up ahead. It was a small, out-of-the-way, quaint motel with 12 rooms and 12 vacancies, and a nice young man behind the desk. Oh, look, this one has a peephole in it. Okay, that sounds good. There is the Bates home from the Alfred Hitchcock classic Psycho, starring Anthony Perkins, Janet Leigh, and Vera Miles. We're going to take you up for a closer look. The house looks like it's far away, but it isn't. It's just a few yards up the hill. Built to 3/4 scale so that it would look farther away from the motel in certain camera angles. Right next to it is the Bates Mansion, featured in the 1998 remake of Psycho, directed by Gus Van Sant. Starring Anne Heche, Julianne Moore, and Vince Vaughn. He is so many. Going by the Bates Motel, anybody need a shower? I hear the bed and breakfast is to die for. By the way, Mark, Norman called. He says you have to return the towels. There it is, 12 rooms, 12 vacancies. Hey, you see that path leading up to the Psycho house? That's right, we call that the Psychopath. You know, we had an incident at the Bates home a couple of years back. Yeah, the tram was riding by, and some guy dressed as mother wielding a knife popped onto the tram, scared everybody, except for me because I wasn't giving the tour. And he disappeared somewhere on the back lot. When security caught up with him later on, you know who it turned out to be? It was actor Jim Carrey on a break in between filming scenes for Man on the Moon here on our lot. It's true. Well, you know, his first acting role was playing Santa Claus in the school play, and his career has come full circle because he's portraying the Grinch Who Stole Christmas in Ron Howard's upcoming film, The Grinch. Take a look on your left. There is one of the Whoville sets. We used 12 different sound stages for The Grinch, or Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Look for Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas in theaters this November. You may notice the communication center off to your left. That was part of the Lost World Jurassic Park. That's because Site B once stood where Whoville stands now. This is where the terrifying Velociraptor attack took place in the film. If you take a look on your right, you'll see the custom-made cabin that was featured in the Universal comedy The Great Outdoors, starring John Candy and Dan Aykroyd. It's later on used for Dante's Peak. We're coming to the end of our tour. I thought I could talk about movie finales. A lot of them were filmed in front of this blue patch of the sky here on to your right. That is the world's largest freestanding backdrop. It's a great Kodak photo opportunity for you. It was built for the movie Jaws: The Revenge, starring Michael Caine, Lorraine Gary, and Mario Van Peebles, and it has been used in a lot of movie finales, such as Warner Brothers' production of Deep Blue Sea, Paramount's production of The Truman Show. Universal used it for the Acid Lake sequences in Dante's Peak. Universal also used it for the splashdown side of Apollo 13, and it's amazing how this tiny lake can look like the entire Pacific Ocean on film. Here's an example. Universal is famous for blockbuster hits such as Apollo 13 and The Mummy. We're just ahead of us are some of the sets that were used for The Mummy, and I think he's under the spell of The Mummy, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on, we're about to head into The Mummy's tomb. Take a look on your right, there's some priceless treasure. Oh, look at those scarab beetles. Scarab beetles. Why did it have to be scarab beetles? Scarab beetles. My pink scarab beetles. Wait a minute. They're attacking the trim. All over the trim. Watch your feet. Watch your feet. Watch your arms. Survived the curse of the Mummy's tomb. Who was Eddie? That's inspired by the Universal blockbuster hit The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser. Well, that concludes the Universal Studio Tour. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Once again, my name is Mark. You guys were a blast. Don't let anybody tell you different. Enjoy the rest of your day here at Universal Studios Hollywood. We'll see you in the movies. Bye-bye, everybody.
Not Chinese. Here you go, sir. Thank you.